Hi, everybody. Brian Frail, the Deputy Clerk. And apparently yesterday when I did my video for training, the application to vote that I thought I was showing to everyone was not showing up. So I'm just going to quickly go over the application to vote here in a separate video. I can share my screen again and find that. All right, so here we go with the application to vote. And we can bring this down a little bit. There we go. Okay, so here's the application to vote at station number 1. This is where the inspector would hand the application to vote out to the voter. The voter would fill in let me start with, in the morning, you'll put the date of the election, you'll stamp it on these, and you'll put the precinct number. You'll put, the voter will put in, they'll print their name, the date of birth. All they're obligated by law to put in is the month and day. They do not have to put the year by law. So month and day is all that's required. And then they'll put in their residence, their voting address, and then they'll sign the application. All 4 of those things have to be done, okay? So if you're at station number 1, you'll have them fill that out. You'll then check their ID, compare it to the application, okay? And then you'll initial in the bottom right corner, somewhere near their signature that you did do your part, okay, with the application. And then you'll pass that on, and you'll have them move to station number 2, which is the EPB person. Now, the person at the EPB, electronic poll book, that person is going to, actually scan the driver's license of the voter, and then they will compare the EPB information to the application to vote, okay? At station number 1, you would also be the person that's actually verifying that it is the person who's standing in front of you. But station number 2, scan the driver's license. You'll put the voter number and the ballot number on the application. You'll be working in tandem with the station number 3 person with the ballots to make sure we're giving out the right ballot number and we're not staying on track. So you'll put the voter number and the ballot number, but you'll initial next to the voter number on the application. Once you then move to station number 3, the person who's actually handing out the ballot in the secrecy sleeve, that inspector will initial next to the ballot number, because they're going to make sure, as the next line of defense, that when it gets to them, that they're looking at this ballot number that station number 2 put on there and comparing it to the ballot number that they have in their hand, and that they are the same. Okay, then station number 3 will direct the voter to vote in a voting booth, voting station, and then the voter will go to inspector station number 4, which is the tabulator station, and then that inspector is going to verify that the ballot number on this application matches the ballot number that is on the ballot still. The person still has the correct ballot when they get to station number 4. They will rip that tab off. They will initial on the election inspector initial line, and then they will put the application on the spindle and direct the voter to go and vote. Okay, now, the one thing about station number 1, if the voter doesn't have an ID on them, they can check, they would flip the application over and they would fill out the reverse side, which is the voter not in possession of ID. Okay, if they do that, you'll check this box that says ID affidavit on reverse completed in red. You'll fill that, you'll check that so we know, all right, that the voter filled out the back. The person that, if they fill that out, okay, it's only because they don't have their ID with them. If they refuse to show their ID, they do not get to vote. Okay? If they refuse to show their ID, they don't get to vote. If they just forgot their ID and didn't bring it with them, they can flip the sheet over, fill it out, and they're allowed to vote. Now, when this gets to station number 4, okay, and this is key for station number 4, if you see that the person has checked this box, or maybe the box they forgot to check it, but when you put the application on the spindle, you saw they did fill out the back that they didn't have ID, then you would put a little paper clip on this application on the spindle. Okay, just put a little paper clip right over that application, just so at the next day when I'm going through these applications and the state of Michigan asks me how many people filled out the affidavit saying they didn't have their ID, I can easily count that by just looking at how many paper clips are on that spindled thing of applications, because you'll probably have 300 or 400 applications on there. So if I can just count paper clips instead of having to flip through one by one to see who filled out the backs, makes my job a lot easier the next day. So that's the application to vote. Once again, if you have any questions, contact me, 734-676-4422, extension 241, or you can email me, bryanf@grosseal.com. That's BRYAN, F as in Frank, @grosseal.com. Have a good day. If I can figure out how to shirt this off, it'll be great.